To pray, there's no angels where I go, only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kiru Show here. Now, before I do begin the video, I do believe that this one will be a very dark part. So if you guys, well, don't want to see it, then click off of the video. And that is a fair warning. 3, 2, 1. Let's begin. Whenever we last left off, Midoriya has just found out that apparently Mr. Johnson is Slade Wilson, the killer. That is known as Deathstroke, the professional assassin. And he's also had a bit of problems with these hallucinations. Them basically forcing Midoriya to think that he is going to be inducted into Lantern Corp, into the Green Lanterns, over and over and over again. Until it finally stopped. After the events on the rooftop. Now, let's begin. It is a new day. And a new dawn. Midoriya waking up, and his mother being a bit more surprised to see him, since she just thinks that he's been stuck in his room or just hasn't been leaving the house in an entire week. However, the school has kept trying to call Midoriya coming in today, and people are seeing him. Some people trying to make fun of him, while others do at least don't pay him any mind. Bakugo trying to scream at him today, but Midoriya just walked past him, not saying a single word. Pissing off Bakugo a lot, as he would just keep to himself, go throughout the school day like normal, and head out. Leaving the school and actually going back to that music shop. He does want to see if that girl is still there. She did say that she'll stick around there, so he could at least talk with her and see what's been going on. Thinking about this strategically, if they saw him talking with that girl, then obviously they probably have her targeted, right? No, that can't be right. They saw me by random chance, though. Midoriya heading there and at least finding the girl. Actually being pushed around a bit by these guys again. And Midoriya would just walk up. As soon as the guys do see him, they would turn around. Looking at Midoriya as he just holds his hands upwards. And tells them to leave her alone. One of the guys actually bringing his hand backwards, going to throw a punch at Midoriya. Before Midoriya just grabbed them by their fist and began to push it down backwards. The guy basically just grabbing onto his hand and just asking to let go. Midoriya doing so and then just kicking him onto the ground, telling the guy to leave. He's asked this once, and the next time he won't be so nice. Now, the guys would just leave. And, well, Jiro, she would just thank Midoriya again, saying that every time he sees, they meet, apparently it's because of those assholes or nearby. So thanks for the help at least. Her actually a bit more surprised, asking where has he been at. Ever since the celestial attack that happened that day, I saw you on TV. I figured you'd at least be pretty popular. Yeah, no such luck. Something happened to me that day. Oh, what was it? Not much, as Midoriya would just sit down, saying that he's just been trying to get back into his old habits. I'm trying to find something to listen to. I kinda lost that CD you told me about, and whenever I tried to go find it, I couldn't even really think about another place to go. So I came here. The two talking for a bit. Midoriya asking her if she has any actual, problems with people following her, aside from those assholes. Her just saying no. Actually, things are a bit less odd than you would think. Now, Midoriya is at least happy to hear that, as up in space, Umbrax is listening in on the conversation. This boy's shame disappears and this girl is with him. That is not good. I will have to find another candidate if this keeps up. Umbrax at least thinking, no, I can use this actually. If something bad were to happen, then clearly it would be very beneficial. So, Umbrax at least trying to set things up a bit. Whenever Midoriya does leave, Jiro would have left too. The two actually heading in the same direction. And a bit of an odd coincidence happening. There is another villain attack. Umbrax controlling one man and getting him to actually use his quirk to throw around different things. Let's say the man has telekinesis. Umbrax would control him and begin to throw different objects around. Midoriya basically just grabbing Jiro and immediately just pushing her out of the way, bringing his hands up to block, as the man would have stopped it, and actually thrown it in the opposite direction. Kinda confused and a bit more surprised. One thing happening. Jiro actually asking Midoriya if he's okay, since that guy was going crazy. Midoriya is saying that he's fine as he would look over, and see that the guy was tackled by a pro, and that he's basically unconscious. That was weird. Okay, well, as Midoriya asks her if she can come with him, or at least talk with him for a minute. Him pulling her aside and trying to at least explain something. He may have gotten her mixed up in something. Someone tried to threaten him. So, her just saying that it must be those guys again. Damn metahumans. Sorry, that came out wrong. Her just trying to explain herself. The metas are stronger than people with quirks. Yeah, but quirks have been around for longer. And the metas, some of them, think they're far better than anyone else. Especially those guys at her school. They think that their powers are very unique, and they want to try and go to UA. Since the law was just put in place that even if you are a metahuman, you can go to UA. A different law, however, has not been passed yet. Now, with that being said, Midoriya would have at least understood. The two hanging out a bit more and talking and training. Midoriya finding out that this girl actually wants to go to UA. That can be very interesting. Now, throughout his daily life, things would be a bit different. He would have a bit of a change in heart. Whenever he is out doing his vigilante business, he is at least a bit more careful, and takes it a bit more serious. Talking with Jiro and having a bit of fun, along with actually thinking about certain things. Meanwhile, Umbrax is pulling the strings in the background, creating weird coincidences, odd things, and even manipulating some officials in the government, trying to change the life of this young boy, just to see what will happen. If this experiment does fail, then he will just move on to the rest of humanity, and take them over that way. As the end of the 9 months would pass, and the entrance exam is coming up. Midoriya running to the music shop today and actually seeing these guys push Jiro around. Her actually defending herself and knocking one of them backwards with a punch. Midoriya coming in and shoulder checking them, telling them that they need to get away from here and to just back off. One of them doing one thing, pulling a knife and saying that he should just be careful that if he goes to UA, things are going to be getting very, very problematic. One at Corkless. So, I suggest you just skedaddle, leave town, or just get out of my sight. I don't care which one you do. Now, with that being said, the guys have just walked off, along with Deku and Jiro at least thinking, this is going to be getting very tricky. Her just asking Midoriya a few questions. The two going back and forth, along with actually listening to a bit of music together and her trying to teach Midoriya how to play guitar. That is at least good. And now, these two would actually leave. They're going to head over to another music shop that just opened. And it's going to be very interesting. Leaving the mall and walking down the street. As whenever that is happening, Umbrax is beginning to manipulate events a bit more, becoming more and more apparent in Midoriya's life, as he takes control of these thugs that were harassing them the other day, and actually getting them to take down and kidnap Midoriya. Midoriya being shot in the back as he would fall to the ground, and Jiro turning around to see these guys. Watching as they do actually, well, one of them does bring their hand up to blast her with an ability. Her just stabbing her earphone jacks into herself and beginning to try and use her heartbeat as a weapon. Trying to defend herself, however, she would have been taken down fairly easily. Now, with that happening, things are beginning to get worse from Midoriya. Him feeling groggy and eerie as he does at least shake off the blast, finally waking up after a couple of hours. Now, with that happening, this would be exactly what he sees. The four guys in front of him. They all have various weapons and are planning to actually beat the crap out of Midoriya, along with the fact that Jiro is tied up behind them. She is trying to use her quirk, but there's just a single problem. A couple of these guys keep threatening to at least cut off her earlobes as she keeps trying. Since she basically has someone standing there with a knife directly, well, cutting into, one at least. You can see a little bit of blood on the blade. Now, with that being said, these guys are just beginning to berate and insult Midoriya, talking about how he is powerless, and that he has nothing left to live for. In fact, his entire life, he has been nothing. One of the guys actually bashing into and hitting him directly in the leg, as he would just begin to scream a bit. Jiro was just watching and looking at them just beating Midoriya, punching into his ribs, his face, and one of them actually wanting to cut into his eye, just to see what would happen. Corkless people aren't as strong, aren't they? Nope. Not as durable either. Someone smashing a bat directly into Midoriya, and the chair he's in falling over, as he just coughs up some blood. One of the guys actually trying to hit into and get Midoriya into his leg. One of them actually putting their face, or their boot, directly into Midoriya's face, and pushing down more, waiting until they hear a crunch, which would have come in about 5 to 10 seconds, after them forcing their entire body weight directly onto his jaw. Midoriya basically being beaten and left there as they do try and also mess with Jiro, beating into her and seeing exactly what would happen. Seeing if Midoriya would just get up. Him looking over and seeing them. Each one of their eyes is coursing with this weird power. Him at least trying to get onto his feet, forcing himself to the left as he smashes onto his side, and hits into his shattered kneecap. As he'd be able to at least push himself upwards with his arm, surprising with enough strength. Unknowingly aided by Umbrax, who is setting up the situation perfectly. One of the guys actually turning around and seeing Midoriya. He's basically broken beyond repair, so there's no point in it. As they would have untied him and throw him to the ground, beginning to beat into him more. And that is whenever people would begin to arrive. More and more of their old friends. Now, that would be whenever Midoriya would just get up, and people would be surprised at that. Umbrax astonished. This much willpower. Why isn't he a lantern then? Midoriya finally just looking forwards, and rushing in with as much adrenaline in his body as possible, being to beat into and take away their weapons, punching into and stabbing into a few of them. Then again, he is going for non-lethal, just not as much as he should. As after beating them all down, Midoriya would have basically just left with Jiro, and ask her if she is okay. Her just saying that she is. And, well, it being too dark to see. Whenever they do get to a safer spot, they would have passed out. Umbrax aware of what's going on, as he would begin to control Jiro. Whenever she was tied up, she did feel quite a lot of shame. The fact that she cannot use her own quirk. And she would do one thing. Whenever Umbrax does control her, she does stand up and walk over to a puddle, taking a box cutter out of her pocket and beginning to snip, snip, as I'll just say. After that is done, he would have walked back over to Midoriya, and Jiro would just sit down, before falling unconscious. The two being found by the authorities the next morning and being rushed to the hospital. Midoriya eventually waking up and being healed by this recovery hero. I want to say someone similar to Recovery Girl, with the power. Now, with that being said, Midoriya would have been able to get on his feet and actually ask questions to the doctor, as it would be very, very drawn out. The doctor basically trying to stall, as eventually he would have just ran down the hallway. His body's still in a bad shape, but eventually finding Jiro's hospital room, and basically bursting open the door. Whenever he does see her, he does feel his heart sink. And he does feel like he failed. Her ears are covered in the stitching. Deku feels like he failed, and he feels angry and sadness at the same time. He doesn't know how to feel. All this is just overwhelming him. Seeing Jiro basically just sitting in the hospital bed, wrapping around most of her face, along with her arm. She apparently broke one of her hands, and, well, a few of her ribs. The man walking forwards and introducing himself, with a very dire tone in his voice, as Jiro's father. and Jiro's mother would still be just looking at the situation, with her head in her hands crying. Midoriya walking over and asking if she's okay. To which she would just say that she is going to be perfectly fine. But the doctors don't know what's going to happen now. I had plans to go to UA, but I guess it's not going to happen anymore. Now, Midoriya would actually be in a tear up a bit, and just run out of the hospital room. Jiro didn't even get to the part where she wanted to apologize. Those guys are always after her. If, well, Midoriya didn't get involved, then he probably would have been okay, or at least fine. Now, Midoriya would have eventually headed home, and find something a bit odd on his front door. Apparently there is a note addressed to him. And it's at least confusing. The note has a few words. Sorry to tell you this, kid, but I have to move on. Besides, check your room and you will see something I've left for you. By the way, you have done very, very well. And I hope we do meet again one day. Now, with that being said, Midoriya would have walked inside, heading into his room and seeing what Slade left for him. Or Deathstroke. Why do I keep saying Slade? I keep thinking about the old Teen Titans cartoon. Anyways, now Deku would have opened the case and see exactly what's in here. It is a blacked out version of Slade's gear. Guns, katanas, knives, and even a book. In fact, there's quite a few things. As Slade does at least tell Midoriya that he will see him at a UA entrance exam. He won't be, there legally though. He will be at least watching, so to do him proud. Now, with that being said, Midoriya would have headed to the entrance exam the next week, along with actually seeing Jiro there. In this amount of time, things have been getting a bit odd. He has at least tried talking with her and trying to get her to talk with him. Although, Midoriya is still not sure what to say. Now, him and Baku will be sitting next to each other. As whenever it does come time for the test, Midoriya would at least do pretty good. And for the robot portion, the combat portion, he would just keep going, over and over and over again, trying to fight robots and take them down. He does score pretty well and actually a bit higher than I thought he would, or anyone else thought he would, since he is considered to be the first Quirkless student. That's what many people are thinking. The guy's not using any abilities, he's just jumping around. Does he have like a hopping quirk or something like that? Until time would pass, and Midoriya would head home. Whenever he is listening to music one day and at least talking on the phone, something would happen. His mom would just barge into his room and toss a letter at him, saying, "Here, apparently it's from that school you want to go to," before just walking out. Midoriya ripping it open and seeing a piece of paper, beginning to actually read it, along with this, video disc or whatever it is called. The paper does announce that they are sorry, and that he did very well in the entrance exam, but there is a small problem. Legally, he was not supposed to be there. So, they are sorry, but on behalf of, the law, they are going to have to limit him to general studies. Along with him actually opening up this hollow video, or whatever it is called, and seeing exactly what it says. "Why, hello, young man. I do believe I have met you before. Then again, I do believe that was on a different occasion. Now, I am sorry to say this, but due to what happened at the exam, we will sadly have to reject you from UA. I am sorry, but that is just how the law is. You must have a power, or a quirk, to participate. So your entire exam is considered to be a failure. Now, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to give you my personal opinion. I do not believe that you will be able to become a hero with your current predicaments. Now, Midoriya hearing those words, his heart would sink. Getting a bit annoyed, bringing his hand up and smashing it downwards onto this video drive, breaking it into two as he would just begin to cry and get angry, before trying to turn back to his own mindsets. Now, with that happening, he would also hear about something. He would hear his mom talking about this new Green Lantern or someone else, walking out and seeing exactly what it is. Apparently, Jessica Cruz is making her debut as a new Green Lantern. People ask her exactly how did she become one, and what process they have to go through. Her just saying that she's not really sure. In fact, a couple months ago, a ring just, came to her. Midoriya a bit annoyed, and surprised at hearing that. One of those rings were real. Him getting angry, and just beginning to have a bit of a mental breakdown. Now, with that being said, he would just begin to do something. Writing down something on a note. It is a note apologizing to his mom and telling her not to look for him. Things aren't going to be easy from now on, and that everyone was right about him. He is very sorry. Now, with that being said, Midoriya would just begin to walk up to the roof and be overtaken by his emotions, finally having a mental breakdown over and over and over again, thinking about what has happened in his past. He's been captured and tortured. And along with that, if he wasn't tortured, then he probably would have gotten a Green Lantern ring and become a hero. So he's failed even himself in his code, deciding to finally just throw it out the window and give up. Give up everything. Give up hope, give up love, give up whatever he thinks about. As he just stands on the top of the rooftop, looking down at the city below, before closing his eyes and going to take a step forwards. Before something does happen, he gets pushed backwards by a ring and just looks up as he hits onto the gravel ground, seeing exactly what this is. Kinda confused. What? Purple? No, wait. Izuku Midoriya of Earth. You have great sorrow in your hearts. So, would you like to join the Ultraviolet Corps? What? Young man, there are more corps than the Green Lanterns. Some are better, some are worse, some are more powerful. I can take you to feats beyond even them. You will be something amazing. And you will be reunited with a friend. You will also be able to do what you want with this power. Your own code of conduct, if you will. The laws of the Green Lanterns are strict. Mine are a bit looser, though. So, Put the ring on your hand, and you'll be able to accomplish great things. Along with that, the ring beginning to tap into Midoriya's darker desires, showing him that he can get revenge and help his friend, the one who lost her quirk. Now, Midoriya would just ask exactly how is he supposed to do that. Before he does hear that this is going to be quite simple. You are going to have to put on the ring first, and you'll be granted power. Izuku Midoriya, I will give you this offer one more time. Put on the ring and repeat the oath of the Ultraviolet Lanterns. Now, Midoriya would just throw out his hands and be a bit surprised whenever he does actually touch the ring and hold it up. Confused, he's never seen this Lantern Corp. And swallowing his pride, what's left of it, sliding the ring on his finger as he just falls to the ground for a second, before just starting to repeat the oath. By shield of day and shield of night we feed and grow beyond all sight. Your darkest self shall be our night, wield the sword of unseen lights. Him standing back up with a sinister smile, and walking back over to the cliff's edge. Midoriya confused. He's not doing this. What is this? Umbrax telling him that he is now the avatar of this power. Before, Umbrax would just take a step forwards, jumping Midoriya off the roof. Midoriya feeling fear overtake him as they do go flying off. Everyone a bit surprised when they do see this, mistaking it for a lantern. They are correct, but just not the lanterns they know and love. As across the city, the metahumans that did this to Deku and Jiro are having a bit of fun and messing around a bit. One thing actually happening. Jiro, she wants to get a bit of payback herself, but she's not too sure as to what to do. She's just been feeling anger, and things overtake her. As tonight for her, one thing would happen. She did get rejected by UA also, or at least put into the general studies. Since she didn't compete in the combat portion, her dreams and her life are ruined by the metahumans. She wanted to take a bit of revenge, so she did. Being able to actually fight with and begin to beat on some of the guys with a bat. Getting her own corrupt justice. Before something comes blasting through the wall. And she would look to see nothing. As something begins to move around. And the constructs would begin to shoot out. Jiro basically ducking down and watching these chains fly around. Whatever it is very dangerous. As she just begins to hear people screaming. And Midoriya is screaming too. Although you can't hear him. He's trapped inside of his own mind. Bear witness to see the horrors in front of him. His hands are butchering people and ripping them apart. As you would finally see what's going on. These are the metahumans. They don't deserve to. Please stop. As Midoriya would take the guy and rip his hand off. The guy falling to the ground and screaming, begging and pleading for his life, and asking for help. Jiro hiding, and looking to see this lantern. Watching as the lantern does stand up, and bring their own foot up, smashing it onto and crushing the guy's head. Turning around and looking around. They do feel some emotion. Someone else is here. Come out, wherever you are. I promise it will be quick. No. Stop. Please. Now. This is whenever Jiro would just step out. holding her bat. And Deku, he would just scream at this man inside his body, controlling him, not to hurt her. Leave her alone. Umbrex actually a bit more surprised, telling Midoriya that he didn't do anything. This is all his doing. Releasing control as Midoriya would just fall down to the ground, taking a deep breath as the mask falls off. Jiro going to run forwards as Midoriya would just look up, with fear in his eyes, and she'd be taken a back and step backwards, confused, asking him exactly what has happened to him. Midoriya? What are you? I don't know. Please, help me. Before that sinister grin does form back on his face, and Midoriya would just get sent flying upwards into the sky. Now, with that happening, Jiro is left there, in a warehouse full of bodies. Now, with that being said, I do believe that is a good point to leave that off of. And yes, for those of you who have stuck around, I did say this would be dark. Now, I do hope you enjoyed.